had wanted to add just a little.
I have one more, and
Oh,
then I
one
will
more.
at the end of
Okay.
that. Yep.
Consider approval then of the Oakland County Gun Buyback Program. That's right, we have another one.
Our very own Commissioner Marcia Gershensen's here. I learned about the gun buyback program actually from Trustee Fakih. I believe her and Marcia had a conversation. It's probably been a couple months now. It was really probably a couple days into my chiefdom. So I talked to Marcia, and they asked that we participate in a pilot program for a gun buyback program. At that time, there was some uncertainty on what the program consisted of, being a pilot program. Since then, we have met with 7 local agencies, Marcia, Commissioner Cavell, and Commissioner Spitz, and really developed what we think will be a successful gun buyback program that will be hosted on October 22nd from 10 a.m. To 2 p.m. With their help, they were able to secure grant funding to cover the entire cost of the event. That includes the officers' overtime that we will need on scene that day to process the weapons, to safely and securely take possession of the weapons. There was a lot more that went into it than we initially thought. We thought, oh, it'll be a gun buyback program and people will pull up and we'll just take these guns. But in exchange, we're going to give gift cards in exchange for the firearms. At this time, it'll be $200 for a long gun, $100 for a handgun, and we've talked about $300 for any assault weapon type style weapon. It's multi. We hope we get guns that were used in crimes off the streets, but we also know that there's several guns in homes that people just don't know how to get rid of, that could end up in the wrong hands at some point. And if we can get those lawfully owned guns off the streets as well and dispose of them in the proper way, then it's a successful program. With the amount of gun violence that's out there, we do know that we need to do our part in that. I will be open and transparent. One of the contentions we had, I don't want to say contentions, but agreements we came to, was the anonymity of it. The police departments involved really felt the need to identify somebody that's turning in a weapon. And we understand that could, maybe deter somebody from turning in a weapon. However, we feel if a gun is turned in ethically and by our profession, we feel obligated, if there's a victim behind that gun, that we have to do some type of proper investigation. On top of that, we're required to. And doing it anonymous, 100% anonymous, would prevent us from doing that. So we really worked with the commissioners, and they understood our position behind that. Again, it's a pilot program, so we'll see how successful it is, and if we have to do it in the future, what changes and stuff we can make. Each agency as of now has been granted $7,500, if I didn't say that originally. And again, that's going to cover the overtime costs, and we're predicting and projecting about $5,000 in funds from each agency to buy back these weapons. With that, we're going to, based on the locations, we are going to partner. Bloomfield Township will be partnering with Auburn Hills. And we're going to do it actually at their station. The way that their main entrance is set up, it really is ideal for a drive-through. We'll have a safe place to take the firearms. And there's a lot of steps we have to do as an agency with these firearms, and running the firearms through our local law enforcement databases to make sure that they're, one, if they're stolen or not stolen, and process them through that way, tag them into evidence. Every one of these firearms then has to go to Oakland County, who has agreed to partner with us using their lab to fire and test fire these weapons, which then we get an immediate response, much like fingerprinting, whether that gun was used in a crime. And then we'll have that information back, usually within 48 hours, but it's they have to test it based on their Oakland County's lab's agreement with the ATF within 48 hours. So we get that information back rather quickly, so then we can move forward with an investigation. So in front of you is the interlocal agreement, and I'm hoping that you'll sign it, allowing us and authorizing the Bloomfield Township to participate in this pilot program that we hope is successful.
I'm so glad you guys worked out the anonymity, because I think next year you'll get even more communities involved that may have backed out because of that, because the more we can get involved to be able to find guns that were involved in crimes would be amazing. But also we had somebody here from the township who didn't know what to do. They said, my husband's not here anymore, I don't need this, I don't know what to do with it. So it also keeps it out of maybe their child's hands. So it's an important program, and I'm so glad you guys came together on that.
And we did. And I'll just add to Supervisor Walsh that we take firearms no matter what. So even if we're not doing a gun buyback program, we may not be able to give that. If a resident has a firearm they want to get rid of, they can bring it to the, walk into the station without the firearm and let us know that it's in their car, and that we will come out and get that. And that is free of charge. Yeah. That is always a service that we can provide. And that happens a lot within, unfortunate deaths in the family and stuff where there's just, what do I do?
We just always tell people go down, not through town hall.
Right.
Because we have had that. We're like, no, go to the police station.
We have every one of our agencies has people who are dedicated to firearms.
Yeah.
I wouldn't walk out and just take it. There may be a firearm I just don't know how to disarm, or it could be an antique. We have guys and girls that will handle that for the resident. We just ask that they bring it in, or not bring it. They leave it in their car, but they come in. Hey, firearms turned in. We then go out and take possession of it.
So, I'm sorry. In addition to firearms, if a community member has unused and say ammunition from a leftover gun or something, can they also bring that into the station? Turn that in?
Yes, they can.
Because of course you don't want to throw that in the garbage or anything. But
No, bring it to us. Even if it's at your home and you're afraid to bring it to us, call us and we can try to come out and retrieve it from the residents. We just want people to be safe.
Great, thank you.
How are you going to make people aware of the opportunity?
So the Oakland County Commissioners and their communication staff has sent out a news release today, as a matter of fact, and I will email that tomorrow to each one of you so you guys have it and can see it. I'm sure it'll be on the news. Southfield is a participant, and one of their local churches has offered their location for Southfield and Lathrop Village to be the collection point, but their parishioners and staff are going to stuff. We're getting local businesses given coupons and deals for gun safes. We're giving out kind of a goodie bag with gun locks in it as well. So there will be a big push. I already saw it on the news probably about 3 weeks ago. Southfield's this church did an event on suicide awareness, and they mentioned that we would be doing this program in the near future. So we should see it quite a bit, I would think, starting tomorrow.
And Danny, this is something we can get on the e-news then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Idea.
Did you want to add anything, Commissioner?
Well, I was just going to thank the board for passing, so I'll wait on that comment. But I do want to thank Trustee Faki for working with me on that. I really appreciate that. But I also have to give a shout out to Chief Gallagher, whose leadership on this team. It's been a pretty impressive experience dealing with 7 local police chiefs. But Chief Gallagher really stepped up and really is the lead on it. So very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I'm just, Chief, I'm not clear. So the resolution says there's no questions asked, but you said you wouldn't do that.
Correct. It is not an anonymous.
It is not an anonymous thing. Okay.
And we will not lead the public down any road where we didn't fully be transparent with that. We want to be 100% transparent.
That's fine. So, but do we still, legally, can we vote on this if it says something differently?
To not say no questions.
I think the resolution that Michael's referring to is the County Board of Commissioners resolution.
Right.
It's not our resolution.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, we can vote as described.
Is it? And then I assume that the interlocal that was left at our.
Is it still in here? Is the
No,
anonymity still in here?
the interlocal agreement's silent on the issue.
Okay.
Doesn't mention it.
So they might have done their resolution before the agreement was done?
That is correct. There was and if I may, maybe Marcia can help me out if there's any questions to it. We kind of mirrored the program out of Houston. Houston did a gun buyback program more recently, I'd say in the last 6 months. I don't know the exact date. And it was very successful. What Marcia learned in the meantime of that, because that was anonymous, that was held by the city and not by the police departments. So adding that bit of information, we felt as a police chiefs of these areas, if there's a victim behind that weapon, we owe that to that family. And we had some good and some spirited conversation reference it, because we understand the position that we want more guns off the street. We totally support that. But we strongly feel the ethical obligation that if a victim is behind one of those firearms that's turned in, we owe it to them, that family.
So I really appreciate what you're doing. You and I talked about this before I knew it was coming up, that I said, wouldn't it be great if we could do something like that? And you said, it's coming. I really, really appreciate it. Now, in terms of back on the anonymity, do people have to come in with ID or fill out a form? Or is it just that you're going to search for any history on that weapon when it comes in?
When they turn in the weapon, we'll probably verify ID. That's the conversation we're having now. We'll verify ID and probably a phone number. If somebody could turn in another gun, at least we can follow up with that person to try to get a lead. Again, I don't know how many weapons we'll get that were used in crimes, but we're hopefully getting weapons no matter what. Well, firearms, when I say weapons, firearms off the streets that may be in our homes, and if our home's broken into, that we haven't touched or somebody's parents haven't touched, that just don't know how to get rid of it.
Well, and to touch on what Clerk Brooks said about ammunition, slightly different area. If somebody were to have, say, some other kind of explosive device in their home that they, for whatever reason, have but don't know how to get rid of, do we have a way to do that, or is that something that the county would send somebody out? I mean, we're just opening up. Let's keep our houses safe, get rid of things we don't want.
If there's explosive devices or they're unknown, we don't want them to touch them, and we want them to call us immediately.
Send somebody out.
And Chief Leroy and I will, our people will make the determination, and
Right.
obviously that's happened. It goes no different to people who try to make homemade fireworks, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you would.
We would rather have our people come inspect it. Several years ago, we had that in a home on the east side where somebody was making fireworks in their home, and explosions happened. So we would much prefer for us to inspect it. We have the resources and the connections and to make sure it's disposed of properly.
So that's just something that if somebody has an issue like that, they contact you, and you will have somebody come because you don't want anybody.
Absolutely, we don't want
them bringing it here.
Safety is our number one, and no injuries. So
Right.
let the professionals handle it.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, if they try and throw it out on their own and it ends up in a GFL truck like it did a couple years ago,
We've
near
had 2 or 3
Seahome,
fire
it
trucks.
will blow up
or,
the trucks. So
garbage
please
truck
do not throw those things
fires in the last
away.
couple of years.
We will have the fire department come and take it away safely.
Yeah. And even on this event, if somebody pulls up with ammunition, we'll take it from them.
Yeah.
We're not going to not take that. We're not going to give gift cards for it unless we're towards the end and there's zero. But we're hoping we're having a successful event, and we'll push it out throughout obviously our social media, the township social media, and we're excited to try it. And to confirm with you, I have had calls from other chiefs who said, "Can we be included now?" And hopefully we'll be successful, and this isn't the last one. So.
Thank you so much.
I have one more question. So the $7,500 that we're getting from the county, that will cover everything,
That's
including
correct.
the gift cards,
Overtime, all of it.
overtime.
It was initially
refreshments,
5,000.
whatever.
The initial thought was 5,000. Then once we talked, it was really Southfield who realized, hey, there's going to be overtime hours. Reference this just because everybody's manpower, and partnering up will hopefully limit some of the overtime costs for us on it, or personnel costs, so we can give more money. And we've planned it out that if Southfield's really busy and Bloomfield Township and Auburn Hills are slow, we will take some of our personnel and relocate them down to Southfield to help, plus those gift cards. And in the event we have gift cards left over, the commissioners have allowed us the opportunity to hold on to those. And if somebody comes in 2 weeks from now and they just have to turn in a firearm, we'll have that gift card again to be able to give out if we don't run out. But hopefully we run out, and hopefully we force them to consider another program.
Great.
So it'll be a good problem to have.
If there's no questions, I know one person in particular would
Yeah,
probably like to
well,
make
and
a
I
motion.
do. I just want to thank Commissioner Gershenson and certainly Chief Gallagher. I think I emailed you like 2 days before you officially became chief. So your willingness to explore this and then to hear from Commissioner Gershenson that you've really spearheaded it with all the other departments makes me extremely proud to be a trustee of Bloomfield Township. So a big thank you. And yes, if there's no other comments, I'd be happy to make the motion.
Motion
Support.
by Trustee Faki, support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Trustee.
And if I may, real quick, I talked to Danny before, but we've been in the media a lot in the last couple of weeks, just for events that are occurring. I like to think are un-Bloomfield-like, but I feel it's important for John and I to recognize our men and women of our departments. They've worked hard over the last couple of weeks. So it's important for us to recognize them for the work they've done. Our detective bureau last week, I don't know if they went home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just with incidents. The big one we had was our home invasion. fantastic work by the detectives, fantastic work by Troy Police Department in assisting us. We did pursue, we did get a call for home invasion in progress. We were very fortunate that one of our detective sergeants was en route to pick up video at Somerset Mall. And it just happened to be, he was a block away when the call came in. The homeowners were out of town, watched it all on their home security cameras, and he was able to get there, watch subjects run from the home. We engaged in a short pursuit that became too dangerous, so we terminated the pursuit. But they went through some neighborhoods, and Troy just, I mean, it really fell into place. Troy just happened to be right there and was able to get the vehicle stopped. We are confident we linked them to that home invasion, but we know we've linked them to several other. We just haven't, there's still stuff we have to prove on that. But these investigations no longer are just seeing it, right? Everything's technology based. There's so much more, and we don't get cooperation from big tech companies. So these are search warrants that have to be written. There's just it's hours of work, and it just can't be one detective, or we'd never get the case. Or we have a time frame when you have 4 people in custody to get them into court, and to do that, it takes a team effort. And we've had quite a few serious injury or fatal accidents in the last. I feel like the last 2 months. We're part of the South Oakland County Crash Investigation Team and we have more call-outs in Bloomfield Township in the last probably 5 months than the entire team together. And you're talking Troy, you're talking Clawson, Birmingham. So our men and women of our departments have done phenomenal work. And I just think it's important for being on the news so much, and we're getting it out there. People need to know what we truly face every single day. And I can't be more proud of them. As 3 months as a chief, they've proven their worth. And I think the residents, they appreciate. We know they appreciate it, but I think it's important for our board to hear it as well, and for them, if they ever see these meetings, that they know we appreciate them. So.
Then you'll be before us, I believe, next month for a lot of things lately that you've been using, the core probably even more.
Correct.
But you can't talk about those, but
Yeah.
just know it has been used so much in our area and the others that it's expanding.
Yeah, and the
other
teamwork, and I
communities now.
with John, with the Chief Leroy's crew, we're very fortunate, and I've seen it for the 22 years I've been here, but as leading the departments now, the relationship we have with them and what we do for this community, and how much our guys and girls care, from the 911 dispatchers to the detectives to our civilians. It's to watch that. We had the storm a couple weeks ago where we took over almost 200 phone calls in an hour. That's a lot for 2 dispatchers to handle. So I think it's important to recognize.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me add that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing all that.
Thank you. We agree.